want to connect now. That's oh, hi everyone. It's Amanda, and I'm joined by my longtime colleague and friend, Wendy Jo. We have a ton to talk about. So Wendy Jo is a fellow dietitian, and so tell us about your journey. Tell us where you are now and where you just came back from, maybe about 6 months ago.
Oh. I am a local dietitian in San Diego. I actually live at the very farthest southernmost western spot of the United States in Imperial Beach. So I live at the very bottom tip right next to Mexico. And about actually a year ago, I was living full-time in Europe, in Germany, and I loved it. I loved it more than I actually even thought that I had it in me. So it just felt like we fit in with a community. It was really cool, and I loved the vibe around food. I loved the vibe around bread and culture. It was awesome. So it's been a big shift again. You know, I grew up my whole life from Texas to California and Virginia, and military spouse, you know how it goes. I had no idea what was in store living abroad, and I had no idea that once I moved back, I would have such a cultural shock in my own culture, you know, which is kind of crazy.
No, you and I talked about that because, and I grew up in Europe and lived a long time in Germany, and I could totally identify with the culture. But I came back to the US in 2001, like right before 9/11, 2000 actually, and I went straight to Colorado, and I was glad because you could kind of slowly ease yourself back into our culture. And then I love American culture, but German culture is very, very different. And you do need that sort of ease back in because our life is so high paced here.
It is so high paced. We get a little crazy. A little nervous.
It's good. So we, when we were chit-chatting before, obviously we're both dietitians, and we're going to talk about your work there as well, Wendy Jo. But one of the things that we share is that you are still an active military spouse, meaning that your spouse is still serving. And you said 28 years, right?
28 years, yep.
Yeah, and we were with the military for 30, and so I was a spouse for 25 years. And what is interesting is, you know, these are challenging times, but one thing that military spouses know is how to cope, right? And so I said, well, let's talk about that. You know, we can pretty much have anything thrown at us because it is.
Yes, I definitely feel like the military lifestyle, especially in the past couple decades, has really prepared our resiliency side. We handle change very well. Up and moving. I mean, I have friends right now who are supposed to be moving, and they're kind of in limbo. Yeah. But they're managing. You know, they cope with that because this is kind of the norm for us anyways. I mean, when we were going to move from Germany to San Diego, we went 2 months without our furniture on that side. And then so we were living kind of with bare minimum. And then we were hunkered down in a hotel for 10 days, waiting for when our flight was coming because we had no idea when we would get to fly. And then when we get back here, we're without our furniture again, another, you know, so it's comical what we can handle and what we actually think we can handle. I mean, we're much more resilient as humans than we give ourselves credit for.
Yeah, and I think when you go, I mean, obviously it's different for us because we have moved. Obviously, I'm no longer associated with the military, but you never lose those life skills. I mean, the rug can be pulled under you within 24 hours, and your significant other has deployed to somewhere, and you're like, okay, life just changed. This is what we do. And yeah, we are used to getting up, moving. You know, I always think of how many times we moved our kitchens, right? You can't transport that, especially, you know, overseas. All the military movers, they're not going to move your olive oil or your liquids, but you do get used to it. So I guess the point is, these are kind of like an earthquake right now at times. I mean, we learn when things come along in our history that it does change rules and the way we live forever. And so I think we're kind of navigating that a little bit, but things do come back to normal, you know, and
back to normal.
You know that.
I look at it as, you know, like when we were living in Virginia, we had numerous hurricanes roll through, right? And
Yeah.
there were areas that were without power for, weeks on end. You look at Louisiana and parts of Texas and all the Gulf Coast and Florida, they've suffered a lot. They've had a lot of these times. So I really think people there too, they get it. They understand when you deal with traumatic type situations like that, you can, pull up your bootstraps and keep going. And
it's very true.
I think we're a lot luckier than what people are remembering. I mean, we have connectivity, right? I mean, we can FaceTime. Today's my mom's birthday. I can FaceTime my mom. And so even though we're not together, because she's definitely not, she's in a population that I need to make sure we stay away from.
Yeah, totally.
But, it's okay. We can have connectivity. We have lights. We have power. We do have food. I don't know why people are like hoarding it, because we have food. And I still don't understand the whole toilet paper thing, but I have a bidet, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, and you can get what is it? You and with our other friends, Chris was saying you can get an adapter, right? That
you can just get a seat adapter for your toilet seat. That is not even, it doesn't even have to get plugged in. It can just be powered to your water. And so you just basically turn a nozzle, and it's cold water because it's coming directly from the water.
Yeah,
but I don't worry about that. I don't need it fancy like in Europe when it's nice and warm.
It's fancy in Europe. You can check the temperature, and you got little hand towels. And that's
cool with survival skills. Yes, I cloth diapered my daughter anyway. So I have all those little tiny terry cloths.
Yeah.
And all we do is just, we clean and we soap and clean again, and then we launder, and it's no big deal. It's great because it's much better for our environment anyways. Exactly.
Yeah. So all that from military spouses to survival skills. And you're right. I forget that in the United States that there are, like you said, the Gulf Coast, California, there are parts of this country or Kansas that deal with earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes. I'm not in that part of the country, but you're right. You do develop resiliency. Sometimes we have to remember that we can cope. So anyway, let's talk food. How your favorite, like this woman, if you don't know Wendy Jo, like you gotta follow her on Facebook, because you're gonna see the amazing bread right now, right? Bread coming out of a kitchen. She's a sourdough expert.
She baked this morning, my sourdough.
That's the amazing. And I see so many of the German techniques there too. That I'm seeing what I will buy in Italy or Germany in what you're baking. It's fantastic. Yeah, those methods. But you're also prolific. You landed in the United States. Go ahead.
Hold on really quick. Anya, my daughter.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we just let you know. I mean, this is live, and
navigate, okay?
So little Anya, who's 4 years old, who's getting taller and taller, may stick her head in, and we may need a little bit of, back and forth, a three-way here. So
I can come here then. You can bring me your iPad. Survival skills at this point.
Oh, that's okay. She's great.
We don't navigate too much with screen time because we're not TV watchers here.
Right.
And so, but when we travel, she's allowed to watch video and stuff on the iPad. But because on lockdown mode, we're trying to balance okay, time for me to get stuff done, time for me to be her best friend.
Oh, it's okay.
I have dogs too who are alerted
We've also grown up with.
She's my old lady.
And you know what? The older your dogs get, the more they need you. Isn't it interesting? Yeah, they really do.
She's 14 and definitely, here, I'll show you her.
Sanny. Is this Sanny? No.
This is Chocolate.
Chocolate. Hi, baby. And there's Anya. Well, we're really getting the entire family here, so that's good. So we're live.
I know. I kind of knew this would happen.
That's okay.
Okay.
So well, now you know we really are well. There's a dog. There's a dog, and there's Anya, and no doubt they'll be in, but that's in and out. That's okay. This is what we juggle in life. That's what makes it real. So so we were talking about food. Prolific chef, prolific baker. We watch you, and since you came back, you have it's just about to publish the Instapot. No, what is it? You changed the
I
title.
have Instant Pot Cookbook for Dummies, and then the next one that's out is the Air Fryer Cookbook for Dummies.
So right there, and I don't have an air fryer, but I definitely have an Instant Pot. I have like 3 pressure cookers. Right there, as you said, and you amazed me. You said a lot of people got on it's like the toilet paper bandwagon. They got on the Instant Pot bandwagon, and then you just said, most people don't get it out of the box. Is there no better time than right now to get it out of the box, and why?
You know, Instant Pots are a fantastic tool for if you love like a slow cooker. They're far more multifunctional than a slow cooker. And I actually was on the bandwagon of, I don't need another appliance. I don't need to do this. Like, I don't like littering my countertops with everything. But the miracle of military moves, my crock pot vanished. Go figure. Now, maybe it was a sign. So I ended up getting an Instant Pot. And the nice thing is, I also then got rid of my rice cooker. Because you don't need it with the Instant Pot.
No, you do everything in the Instant Pot. And
so,
go ahead.
They're great. You know, a lot of people I know are fearful of pulling them out of the box because it's a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
And that just scares them. But I'll tell you, I had no idea how much I would love it. I mean, I make yogurt every single week in my Instant Pot.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
And I save so much money. So for 1 gallon or half a gallon of organic milk, it's like, I don't know, $4.99.
Yeah.
So I get that, and I make I think 3 quarts almost of yogurt. I don't put any kind of weird stuff in mine. I keep it very plain, but you know, I mean, 2.5 quarts, that's huge savings, because one of those small little organic yogurts can run you to something anyway.
$2 at least. And the thing is, like, it's so interesting you started out with the yogurt, because you know, from a health perspective, you've control. I know we start with yogurt, we can get hotter in the food here, but you know, so you hit the nail on the head. So it's a very adaptable product. And this is not, by the way, a recording all about the Instant Pot. This is a recording a conversation about food in our current environment. But you can, when you use the Instant Pot to make yogurt, you are controlling price, you're extending how much you produce, right? So the return on the dollar, you're controlling the ingredients to go in there. And hey, so you can do whatever. And cultured food, it's a cultured product or a fermented product. We use those words interchangeably. So now you have kind of medicine for your gut and for you. I mean, it's a cultured product. There's few things. There are great foods that modulate your immune system and inflammation, and cultured foods they're right there at the
definitely
interface
in our society by far. I mean, I definitely noticed, again, kind of like living in Europe, I really took a seat and just observed how people approach the plate and what's on the plate. You know, for instance, lentils, they eat far more legumes than we do. And it's surprising, you know, I'm talking, you know, I know the Mediterranean diet well. I love the Mediterranean diet, but even just throughout the northern regions where, you know, people oftentimes equate our basic heritage of the United States with much of Northern Europeans. But unfortunately, our diet has gotten so far away from that. I mean, I noticed sunflower seeds everywhere. I mean,
that's true.
Yeah, and you know, pumpkin seeds across the board. I've never seen so much pumpkin product in my life. Not the same pumpkin bread or pumpkin scones that we see on our side of the coast, but they really utilize the seed and the oils far more than we do.
They do.
Sprouts, you know, it's so funny. I mean, here's my sprouts I started for the week. And that was another thing. I found sprouts all over the place. People, because
that's true.
People do inside their home. And so they would make sprouts all the time. And it was just really impressive to see that, you know, and that's one of the other things with the Instant Pot. I do my beans quick. I mean,
it's quick.
45 minutes and I can do an entire bag of beans, and then I just freeze them and use them as needed.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because as I was sharing with you before we went live, I was on another broadcast this morning, and that's what we were talking about, Instapot. And, again, if you can buy dried beans, exactly as you said, so you need to get her book, everyone, because she'll tell you how. But they're pennies on the dollar versus canned. Now, canned can be convenient, but you can have sackfuls of these things, and they're going nowhere, right?
Well, it's funny because I did, as I went to the grocery store here, I really observed products that were on the shelf and products that weren't on the shelf. And it is, I mean, I get, yes, get your comfort food, totally. I get that people need a sense of comfort right now, but on the same side, we need nourishment in our society. Whether we're in this state or not, we just need good, whole, nourishing foods. And we need them to come back on the plate regularly.
Exactly.
And it was
So
odd. People weren't buying beans. And I'm like, that's something you guys can do. And they'll stay on your shelf however long you need them. I mean,
whether they're canned or dried or you've cooked and frozen, and I totally agree. So if we're going to try and navigate our fellow Americans, how do we help them? I mean, what is some staples? Let's put the Instapot aside, because we're going to come back to that, or pressure cooker, but staples. And we just talked that are simple, like, okay, you're not a great cook. What can we do?
If you're not a great cook, the first thing I would say is to try to understand how to make a good soup.
Mm-hmm.
I think soups are very nourishing and very wholesome, and you can do all in one. And the same is with a salad. And I think soup and salad are two very popular entities at restaurants for like lunches or whatever.
Yeah.
And also very, very nourishing. And you can take these two basics, learning how to make, on the salad side, a really good dressing, right? We've done this together, right? And so understanding a good, simple dressing is life-changing. And then just adding fun components to a salad. But the same can be said with soup. If you understand the fundamentals of soup, what we would typically say in the culinary world, a mirepoix, understanding onion, carrots, celery, or if you understand celery, like the root, it's even better. I like it far better than regular celery. And I had no idea necessarily about it until I moved to Germany. Isn't that crazy? I mean,
that's interesting.
World, and I'd never really used celeriac in that component, but now I love it because it's super cheap.
It is.
No one else touches it here. And it holds in your refrigerator far longer than stalks of celery.
That's so true, which go bendy after a while, no matter how much you try and preserve them. Yeah, that's true. You have to show people how to cut the celery up. Once you got that down, you're right. So even talking about like a root vegetable soup or root vegetable, what I could see with beef or with chicken or whatever. You're right. You have nourished, and the Instapot, coming back to that. I mean, you can basically, what would you do? Do saute the basics and then add the
for most soups. I mean, it's crazy. Your flavors, like I'll do a chili in there with, now if I do canned beans, I just do 8 minutes. But if I do dry beans, I'll do 35 minutes. So it has dried beans and it takes 35 minutes and it tastes like day 2 chili, which is huge because that's the, right? That intense flavor. But I'll do that with a lot of different soups in the Instant Pot. Like lentil soup is probably my one go-to all the time. And that only takes me 6 minutes.
Bingo, people.
Crazy. It's crazy. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And the other thing I've always loved about a pressure cooker, and I was more of a pressure cooker than a slow cooker, just because it went faster. And, we're always thinking about how can we share advice. And, the one thing I love about it is you can use lower cuts of meat, right? So you can use, it lowers your protein costs because you can use legumes or pulses, right? Lentils fit in there, and meat, like a brisket, for example, something that would be tough to roast. It comes out of there like the sirloin.
It's crazy. Short ribs are such an inexpensive meat. And I remember when I started seeing short ribs on the chef's plates, a lot of restaurants were like making their most fancy meals around short ribs. And I'm like, that is one dirt cheap cut of meat. What are y'all doing? But
Oh,
now,
the best.
yeah, I mean, it's got so much flavor because oftentimes if you get the short ribs with the bone in, the marrow is giving so much flavor and adding umami to whatever you're cooking.
Oh.
So it's really quite powerful.
And I think too, you know, if you're using the pressure cooker, whichever brand you're using, to do the heavy lifting of the work, you can spend your time on the salad and the sides.
Absolutely. And you know, it's interesting you said just pressure cooker because in our book, even though it is an Instant Pot geared book, we talk about all the different brands of multi-function pressure cookers. So you don't have to feel fear like, oh, I don't have an Instant Pot. Can I still make these recipes? You can, because we're not an Instant Pot official book. It's actually one, yes, that was what we targeted our testing on, but come on, it's a pressure cooker. And if, like you and myself, we've been around pressure cookers, so we know the basics of it. I mean, I'm not the expert like Jill Newsom now. She's quite the pressure cooking queen. I just adore her.
A vegan too, so that is an art form. But yeah,
she is absolutely amazing, and I adore her professionally as well as, you know, as a colleague. She's just amazing. So, but yeah, so it's a fun way to cook. I mean, I think. But again, like with the multifunction side, you can do yogurt in it. I mean, I can do yogurt. I set it at night, and my husband scoops it out in the morning with his muesli.
Or he goes to work. Yeah. That's, oops, are you there still? Oops, we may have got a little bit of interruption. There you are. Are you still there? Sorry, it was like a little delay. Are we okay?
Yep.
It's just a little bit of the bandwidth at this time. We're all online, so
yeah,
probably buy stock in the cloud company. Buy stock in the cloud company. Yeah, and Zoom. Yeah, it is going up. But so what else? What else can we do in the pressure cooker? You've done cake. I think I've done a pineapple upside down cake at one point in time in that thing. Yeah, or steamed pudding or something.
Yeah, I do baked goods in it. I've done cheesecakes in it. I've done, yeah, I've done crisps in it. So I did like a rhubarb crisp as one of my recipes. We've done cakes in it. You know, it's really very multifunctional. One of my favorite recipes though is when I make, are you familiar with like chicken or turkey larb, the Thai dish?
I'm not. Tell us more about that. That sounds amazing.
So you can use ground turkey or ground chicken, and then it has green onions and a little bit of soy sauce and some umami type, you know, flavors like fish sauce. And then it cooks in 5 minutes.
Slow people, 5 minutes.
I know. And then you just serve it with like steamed rice and lettuce. Like, so I just use butter lettuce.
I got it. Yeah.
Or actually, you know what works well? I tested it a lot with Swiss chard.
Oh yeah.
Because Swiss chard is such a soft, almost like a butterleaf lettuce.
It is like a butterleaf lettuce.
And I grow that in those big lettuce grow towers that I have.
Yes. Yeah,
so I harvest that all the time. So those are great for it too.
And yeah, totally. Are we hungry yet, anyone? So yeah, I mean, I love it. And you don't have to be a good cook to use an Instant Pot. In fact, you don't even have to, it's so intuitive that.
The thing that I would say that I caution people on is that I find people kind of going down the rabbit hole of, oh, let's make this with canned condensed soup and this and that, and Velveeta, and they're kind of going back to what I would say a lot of the old style casserole dishes, which may also bring some comfort to you. However, you don't really have to do that with the Instant Pot. And you don't really, I mean, you can get some great nourishing meals that are simple and yet super healthy for your body as well, without kind of going down that rabbit hole of like, because I see what a lot of people post, like a lot of people are posting about yogurt, and they're using the coffee creamers.
Oh my goodness.
Please.
Wow. That's like making ice cream.
Don't add coffee creamers to your yogurt to provide flavor. Guys, y'all can use real vanilla beans or vanilla extract, Or do what we do. I could get a really good jam.
True.
And once it's done, plain city, we stir in a really good jam. And that's absolutely amazing.
That's the French way. I think of the French or the Swiss, that's what we do. So it's so true. It's yummy. In fact, I think, we have yogurts now in the States where the jam is at the bottom, the yogurt's on top. They came from Germany like 20 years ago. Like, they were so good. Except in Germany, the yogurt would be quark, right? So it would be this kind of sort of.
I do love quark.
How do you describe quark? It's like, I mean, it's cultured, but it's thick. It's like sour cream, but it's thicker.
I know, it's almost kind of like a mix between like a Neuchâtel and sour cream.
It is.
I love quark. I mean, and it's so high in protein.
Yeah. It's very strained. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So a lot of German cakes, I mean, they're beautiful. They're very different from ours. Will actually use quark, like their cheesecake.
Yeah. I know. It's like when I have friends and stuff who've come and visited while we were over there, and they would go out and they'd see these beautiful cakes because they just take their cakes seriously over there. Kuchen is Kuchen.
It's important. It's a ritual.
They all would get it, and then they'd be like, "Where's the sugar?" And I'd say, "Isn't it lovely? Like, the fact that you can eat and enjoy this cake, and it's not just laden with all the sugar in the world like we do over here. It's
very different. Go ahead.
It made me adjust the plate. It made me look through different lenses that I hadn't really seen before, which was really fun too.
And just while we were talking about Germany, it's just we both have experienced that there. At the standard salad in a restaurant, the salad. It describes that. I mean, it's cool. It's like partitioned, right? But so it describes what the salad's like, because we want you to create salads like this. You can almost do it by buying pre-cut if you have to. But what's the standard salad look like?
I always love it because you have to dig into your salad to find the kraut on the bottom. So it always has fermented foods, always. There's always something fermented, whether it's a carrot salad, so it depends on the season. But they always look pretty much the same. So it has the fermented, either potatoes, it has like sauerkraut and then potato salad on the bottom. At least in the Schwabia area, they like their Kartoffelsalat, so their potato salad.
The potatoes.
Then, beautiful greens, not the iceberg lettuce that you find here. They always do beautiful greens, and then it has corn, little tiny corn, carrots, shredded beautifully, and maybe radishes, and definitely always gherkes, or always cucumber. I feel like cucumber's always on the plate no matter what. But it'll have, a nice crisp vinaigrette. It's so funny too. I can't tell you how many people who came over were like, "Can I get the dressing on the side?" And the Germans were like, "We don't do that."
Nope. It's tossed right here. And sometimes they'll have kohlrabi, right? So they shred kohlrabi.
I love kohlrabi. Oh, I love it. I never appreciated kohlrabi until I
lived there. Yeah.
That I really began to appreciate kohlrabi and Swiss chard, like Mangold's Swiss chard. I really began to appreciate that more over there too, because I feel like they get cold weather crops better.
They do. They're way further north, so yeah.
And I love them.
But the salads, they're super cool. I mean, it's a beautiful way. It's very colorful, and it's like a clock. You kind of eat your way around the dish. And it almost is food. I mean, it's almost enough. There's not always protein on there, but that depends where you are.
Find any protein. Rarely egg on it too.
What is the dressing? You probably mastered it, and I think I did when I lived there. They use a lot of dill. So they may use, if they're doing a creamier dressing, it'll be yogurt or quark based, right?
Yes.
What is it?
It's just vinegar, maybe a little bit of oil, and then always something that makes it creamy, and then salt. They love Essig. They love vinegar. So I use a lot of their white wine vinegar is different than ours.
It is.
Ours has a bit sharper of a flavor than theirs. It's a bit more smooth. And then I would find a lot of the sunflower oil was kind of their choice, but we were in the heart of sunflower crops. I mean, so it made sense because it was extremely fresh, what you would find, and you could taste it. And I also had a lot of walnut oil while I was
Yes.
there.
Yeah. That's interesting. So interesting.
Simple. I mean, it's not, I don't, all my friends make things like that, and it's always the quickest things to come together. It's nothing fancy. You know, it's 1 part vinegar to, 2 to 3 parts of oil. So,
Well,
you could just do it by tablespoon and mix it up. And I've kind of taken that approach too. So now I season my salads. So I, do my seasonings on top, whatever I'm going to choose to do. And then I do my vinegar first, and then I do my oil, because I want the vinegar to get into the greens. If I do the oil first, it's like slippery.
Yeah.
Yeah. The oil, the vinegar will just slip right off of it. So if you do the vinegar first and kind of toss it, you'll really get more of the vinegar taste and flavor on your greens.
Yeah, that's totally true. Yeah, they very much often, the European way is sort of dressing at the table. So you're absolutely right. Yeah, a little bit different. But so kind of going back to the beginning of the broadcast, or a little bit when I said, so what should people go for? We got talking about the salad and the soup, and then we morphed into the whole pressure cooker conversation. I mean, if you do nothing else, if cooking's hard, and you can, or if it's still in the box, it will save your life. It'll save your sanity. It'll make you a rock star with your family, because then they're like, did you cook that? But you don't cook, right? It's amazing. And the other thing, just, I don't want to jump to the air fryer real quick with you, and also talk about your Mediterranean cookbook, because it's amazing, folks. I lost my train of thought. Oh, you can make a risotto. I mean, you can make a risotto in like 4 minutes in a pressure cooker. And I've actually done this side by side with chefs. So like, there is no way that's done in a pressure cooker. Like I said, you look like a rock star. It is not hard. I would do it, people.
No, it is.
Get the crap on the shelves. Buy the whole ingredients. Buy them in bulk. Bulk, not like toilet paper, right? But buy bags. Dispense them. You're going to be able to cook on a budget and take a lot of stress out of your lives. We promise you.
Well, and you can even buy things like pre-cut onion, celery, and carrots in the freezer. So you can buy them pre-cut and they're frozen and they're ready to go. Not even the ones that just in the refrigerator section, but you can buy the freezer section one.
Yeah.
And that's a great starter. I mean, getting a thing of chicken base, whether it's in a box or in a little jar, versus the granulated or the box. I think the boxes of chicken stock are a bit more bulky.
Yeah, they are.
So if you find a base that's a good base, that actually can help. And a lot of times you can find those in the freezer, like a demi-glaze.
Yeah, no, that's good. A demi-glaze is amazing. No, that's interesting. I'll have to get.
It takes a long time to cook them too. So.
And yeah, if you make them from scratch, no. Well, right now, if you want that flavor, and you're not a chef, demi-glaze.
It takes a little time to cook, but I mean, a stock doesn't take you any time at all. I can do bone stocks in my Instant Pot in 6 hours.
Yeah, I do that in 6 hours. I do it in like 40 minutes. So you must have it on a different setting.
Well, for beef, if I do the beef bones, because beef, I'll take a little bit longer, and I do it on the low on that. But the chicken broth, I do that in under 45 minutes. Absolutely.
Amazing. So folks, recycle your chicken. I have to say, I've never made better chicken stock. And when it cools, it's so gelatinous than I have in a pressure cooker. And bingo, folks, then you've got a base for your soup, or you've got a meal. You got something to drink. It's so nourishing. Okay, so let's jump quickly to the air fryer. I don't know anything about them. Nothing. I don't have one. I see everyone using them. Tell us about them and how it's changing your life.
If you like that crispy, crunchy texture, which I think a lot of people in our culture do, they crave that.
They do.
Air fryer is fantastic. It is a high intensity, small concentrated area of convection heat. So you don't need much more than a tablespoon of oil, if even that. I buy the glass jars.
Yeah.
I fill it with like avocado oil or extra virgin olive oil. And then I spray the food that I want. And then I do it. So like for sometimes in the morning, I will do like a chimichanga. Are you familiar with chimichangas?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So chimichangas are the crispy fried tortillas that are like burritos. But it's fun to do, like we'll make a bunch of eggs, and then I'll do eggs, bean, maybe chorizo or maybe bacon and cheese, and then I fold them up and I do them in the air fryer, and then we freeze them.
You know, just listen to you talk, I mean, talk about, because here's something that folks are talking about right now, and kids have been pulled out of school, and mothers and fathers are pulling their hair out. And the number one thing I've seen this week, Wendy Jo, is the kids are eating me out of house and home, right?
I think people don't realize how much they get fed at school and what they're eating at school. And kids they're on a schedule at school. So when they're home, they're the same. Yes, it's food is all around them. And so we have a thing here. That's more in my Born to Eat book, but the side of the kitchen's closed. So we eat when we eat, and then the kitchen's closed. So we have, breakfast, and then we have a snack, which is usually very fruit-based in the mornings. Yeah. And then we do lunch, and we always do a warm lunch because I really like warm lunches here. And then do another afternoon snack, which is usually whatever vegetable I'm cooking for dinner, I will have already pre-chopped it. Bingo. And so then she can have that pre-chopped vegetables before dinner. I don't care how much she wants to have it. That's fine. Go ahead.
But it's interesting. Kids on a schedule, they're also anxious too right now, right? Their world, not only kids mom and dad are super anxious. These are different times. So the kids, and what do people do? They go for food. So it's probably like you said, lack of schedule or difference in schedule, anxiety, it's comfort, you can control it. So the reason I went to that is I love the idea of the chimichanga. How can you use that air fryer to batch stuff up? So that there's breakfast or
and the air fryer is also fun for kids because they can do a lot of the things like wontons.
Yeah.
Wonton wrappers, and then you can fill them with, maybe some ground meat with spinach, frozen spinach. And then the kids can take it and put them inside each of the little wonton wrappers, and then you can just spritz them with the oil and air fry them up in the air fryer. Kids totally dig that kind of thing. They have so much fun with it. My daughter loves making hand pies.
Yeah, I saw those.
I make a real easy, like whole wheat pie crust, and then I do like a cherry type filling or a strawberry filling. You could even use preserves if you have a favorite preserve, like
pea. Totally, like an apricot or something would be amazing. Yeah.
It's a fun, because then it's already portioned out, and it's a fun thing that the kids are involved in, and you can make it a math lesson, you can make it into a science project by talking about the different fats being put into it or whatever. There's so many different things in the kitchen with food that's fun. So
that's really cool, because you can also make the kids, whichever age, obviously there's a lower end that we may not, for supervision, just especially if all the kids are at home. But I think utilizing our children, I don't even know what the word, reframing the conversation so they're part of the production process as opposed to the grab and, hey mom, I'm hungry. I think it's really important, and probably the air fryer and the pressure cooker are ways to safely engage people, get them involved, get the stress off of you.
Right? Yeah, Anya was making, we made whole wheat sourdough flatbread the other day. And she divided all the dough and she rolled it out. But she's been making homemade tortillas with me since she was 3.
Yeah.
And that's good for kids to learn. Homemade pizzas are super fun because then the kids are empowered with choice on what they top it with. And we actually do the individual pizzas in the air fryer.
That's a great idea. You have so many ideas. I think we need to talk like a whole other hour, but we won't, because people are like, okay, we got it. Can we come back? There's so many ideas here, but again, these are challenging times, and kids, you may have 3 or 4 kids, and there aren't enough screens in the house for them to do their homework. So, and you're orchestrating everyone, maybe trying to run a business that you can't run anymore because the kids are at home, but repurposing the kitchen, like you said, to a learning space, and they need to be engaged or can be engaged with you. And these are very cool tools not non-dangerous, you know, kid friendly.
I mean, my daughter already at 4, she can use a knife.
No, that's great. So
So
do you have lots of these ideas in your book, right? That's coming out that
not so much about kids in the kitchen cooking.
no, but this simple, like the chimichanga or the hand pies.
All of those are in the books. They're
That's
all
brilliant.
ideas. And really, actually, we do have a whole section on like fun foods for kids in the kitchen, like things that kids can get involved with. Because the air fryer is very kid safe and kid friendly because it's all enclosed versus exposed or not exposed to any
Right,
oil.
it's like an open pan.
No.
That's amazing.
Really
So the Instapot, the pressure cooking, but it's called Instapot Cook, the Dummies book.
Yeah.
It's coming out end of March, right?
Yeah, end of this month, it's out.
And then the air fryer book, You're Prolific, is when?
That's coming out in the end of April.
Okay, so you got 2 books.
Two
So you
books.
have to place the pre-order. We didn't even say we were going to talk about this, but you know, you can't have a conversation about nutrition and how you work in interesting times, right? With the budget, with your time stretch now, because everyone's home, maybe, without talking about these convenience equipment tools that'll just take the burden off, but can empower somebody else to help you if you're the parent, or if you're a college kid at home. Hey, come on.
Absolutely.
Step in.
Schoolers can really get totally, you know, you can change a child's life by teaching them how to cook.
Yes, this is what society needs to enable our young people to be able to stand up on their own 2 feet and cook. Not that you can't if you're listening as young, but we're seeing right now. Let me give you an example. It was kind of interesting, but a different perspective. One of our colleagues was in a store, and you know, we see all over the country, oh my gosh, all the convenient stuff is gone, but all the packaged stuff is there. Well, in this store, what was most interesting was all the meat was gone, but the Beyond Meat burgers were still there. Just kind of interesting, like, you know, but to be able to feed yourself is to be able to control your life. You know, if you can't feed yourself, you're dependent on somebody else to touch your food. Who wants somebody to touch your food right now? And it costs you a whole lot more money to buy food that's produced by somebody else than yourself. So,
you know, in restaurants around here in our area, they no longer can serve food in a restaurant.
correct.
So they have to do curbside pickup or delivery. So this is a great time. I mean, if those places are going to be inundated with trying to deliver foods, this is a great time to just revisit the kitchen. And I get it. Not everybody loves cooking, but I think once people figure out basic things, and when I teach this, I always say, find 4 things you like. Start with 4. Don't go beyond 4. Just spend time on these 4 recipes that you want to learn how to make. You know, find a good soup, find a good salad, find a good meat, and find a great dessert. Something that you can make. And then especially if you find something that's kid friendly or some component of it, it just takes time. You know, kitchen takes time. And right now we have time.
We kind of, yeah, I know it's stressful, but if stress is your thing, then this takes the stress out of what you're doing. So 2 books coming out. You also have a book, real quick here, Born to Eat, which you published when you were in Germany, right? I know it was written on the way to Germany, which is an amazing, if anyone of you is bringing into the world a wee one. And wants to do it.
I had a 1-year-old while I was writing that. Actually, she just turned 1. So that's a baby-led weaning type of, but it's a book for new families learning to navigate food first for their infant and how to approach the plate with an infant, helpfully to kind of carry them over in their lifetime with a healthy food approach where they can love food but not fear food. And that's our foundation for Born to Eat. And then I have the Mediterranean Diet Cookbook for Dummies as well.
Over there, get that. Yes, I can see it. Like, bring it up to the camera here. And I have, let's talk about this real quick.
My first copy that I ever had. I still have it, so it's not even the newer edition because the new edition is super nice.
I'm looking for mine. Hold on, it's coming. Here it is. Look, I have the newer edition. I have the new edition.
You see, it's so much prettier with my panzanella on there.
the panzanella. So this is a great book. So I grew up in Europe and spent a long time in the Mediterranean. My parents are currently living in Spain. I am European by birth. And then Wendy Joe, I had came back here and, you know, we overlapped for a few years and then you went over, ooh, my camera looks a little weird here. Sorry, my head's cut off. Then you went over to Germany. She was posting from Croatia and Greece. I'm like, oh.
Croatia was amazing. Had I known, I want to start planning another trip, a learning education trip over there, because they are just amazing.
It's amazing. It is. And so simple. But all that to say, you know, knowing the Mediterranean so well, this is a really good book. It is authentic Mediterranean, very simply done. So you've teased out the very essence of Mediterranean and made it accessible. You know, for us here in America, I mean, it's around the world, but you know, sometimes you look at books like Dummies and like, oh, how are you going to do that? You know, how, and it's beautiful, you know, actually, if this had a different cover, it would be like $50.
Yeah, that book is actually published in German.
Oh, it is? Oh, that's amazing.
It is. So it is actually now published in German. So it's just hysterical. My girlfriends all have it.
It's super. I mean, I just opened it up to Olive Tapenade, Classic Metzeplatte. You know, these are, it's if you are a cook, or you're, you know, like, okay, I'm done with the Instant Pot and the fryer. Let me like do panzanella. Let me do a little bit of Italian, but you don't want to go to highfalutin Italian or Greek or Lebanese or whatever. It's a great book. I have to say.
Boule in there is probably one of my favorite recipes. I worked really hard on that. I spent a lot of time with different areas and kind of picking up what they did well with making it and watching things. And I remember the difference between my first edition and the second edition is I made a lot of those changes because I was living abroad while I wrote the second edition. So
you got those little nuances and flavors and nips and tucks, and it really is a beautiful book. So pretty much, if you're listening, hopefully you got some great ideas. But I will say anything Wendy Jo writes, I grab it because I know that she's testing. I know how much she tested because I followed her. We all know how much she tests. And this one, I want to just give a shout out to your co-author, Mary Raffetto, right? Raffetto. I don't talk to her so much anymore, but she's awesome.
She's another one of those Italian bred, you know, dietitians who's just a total foodie. And
she is. It's a great book. And you do great work, Wendy Jo. I'm so glad you're back in the United States. I know you probably want to, as soon as you can, go back over and live a little bit in Europe, but it's great to have you back in the United States. And
you know, I can't beat living here at the coast and, you know, sunny California where we have the same climate as the Med. And so you know, we can grow things year round. I appreciate that as well. So I'm happy where my feet are right now.
That's great. And the southernmost tip.
The southernmost tip
of the United States.
We kiss Mexico right over here.
So you were literally, so I have to ask, because some people may be listening in, when you listen to this from California, you know that area. So are you on, you know, when you go over to Coronado, it's a long strip, right? Are you over on the island southern strip, or are you actually on the kind of, like if you drive south on 5 or wherever?
If you were to drive south from Coronado down, you'd hit my house.
Okay, so you go across the bridge onto the island and take a right and go south.
Yeah.
Take a left.
It's really not an island, it's just a peninsula.
Well,
Coronado's just,
yeah.
But it is, we're at the very, very bottom.
That's amazing.
All the way, I'm literally, there's all that's between us and Mexico is an estuary.
Okay.
For about 3 miles.
That's amazing. I just didn't even know you could go down there. I just thought, it's not all like a military base, but that's the north, right? And then, so you just take a left and go down there. That's incredible. What a beautiful part of the world.
It's like a 1970s beach town because it's harder to get to.
Yeah.
And so it kind of is like a picture of in time of what it was in the 70s. It literally, it's cool because kids are all out on their bikes, riding with their surfboards or their fishing gear, and
so California.
It's got that vibe down to it. It's cool.
I love it. Well, good for you. You found your little sweet spot there. So anyway, amazing to talk to you. I can't wait to see what's next. Well, I got to catch up with the pressure cooker book. That's definitely coming this week because I want to see what you're up to. But Ray, such great ideas for everyone right now. Thank you, Wendy Joe, and thank you, Anya, and your husband for your service to our country, because we all serve. If you've been in the military, whether you wear the uniform or not, the kids and the partners and the spouses are serving. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.